learning curve as well. And it's always a pleasure joining you in the comm box. And very good morning to everyone watching as well. A game that we have in hand is Grizzlies are concerned. They found their mojo yesterday, Joe.
Absolutely, pretty much a canter, a game that was never really in much doubt once the second innings got started. Kind of reviewing what we observed in that one. SoCal Lark for just 14, Phillips for 2. There was a 53-run partnership for the third wicket in the middle there, but after that, biggest partnership was 19 off 19. They wound up with a target to chase of 141 and got there with 2 overs to spare. Sami Aslam with his second best total of the season at 72 for 54. He'll be the opener again today alongside Malik Junaid. Had 8 fours and in doing so reclaimed the top spot in score. Out stopped just shy of a half century when Hamad Azam took care of the last handful of runs in that one. But a good victory there. Not maybe the impact it could have had on net run rate, but certainly getting the win back over 500 at 6 and 5.
You look at the players who fired, you would want to say as a Grizzly fan that probably they should have started this game a little earlier. Should have had this game a little earlier. First ball, straight to the fielder. That point. One thing that these two teams would have watched very carefully and learnt from the games that were played on this very ground is the fact that you can start with spin and be very comfortable.
Absolutely, and certainly a good strategy against Sami Aslam this season. His strike rate a good 50 points lower against spin bowling, and he's lost his wicket most of the time to it. That one guided down to third man. That'll be fine enough of Basant Regmi to allow a quick single to be scampered. First runs of the day, and the Golden State Grizzlies are off here against Karan Varadia.
Karan Varadia, the stalwart of Gujarat cricket, under 19s all the way up to under 25. He had a lovely habit of lifting the bat up for centuries, and every time he used to turn the newspaper page, and of course for me the newspaper starts from the back, you understand why. And there would be Karan Varadia. Now with the ball in hand, equally effective. Enough to be trusted by the captain to be bowling in the first 6. A little late addition to Hollywood Master Blasters, but he made his presence felt immediately in San Diego. Marty Kane was caught short by inches, so a complete cricketer, now with the ball in hand.
And so far this season in the power play, 4 wickets taken. He's bowled a little over half his overs there and a 6.36 economy, so he's kept it tight, and he's been a strike bowler alongside that. Everything you want out of somebody taking the ball right out of the gate. Dot ball, first ball here to Malik Junaid.
Malik Junaid would be itchy to get going as well. Yesterday, it felt like today is my day after taking that fantastic catch. It wasn't the case with the bat in hand. Today would want to change. It reached the fence. Eventually does. Basant Regmi never slowed down though.
4 byes on that one as it took a little bit of a hit yesterday, just 3 balls faced and unable to get off the mark before nicking off behind. But as you mentioned, valuable in the field, covering a lot of ground out at long off and eventually over at the covers yesterday, and a fantastic catch for an early dismissal. Works that to the man at point. Ayan Desai up with it, a dot ball here, 1 left in the over.
It's not a bad ploy at all for Malik Junaid to take a bit of time as well before he gets going. Wanted to clobber the last ball out of the park.
There is that hard swing looking to deposit it somewhere. It's just going to dribble back behind. We see an indication here as well of a wide on that, so the over not yet concluded. We'll have one more here. They scurry the extra run to go along with it, so 2 wides. Sami Aslam will face the final ball. Protection here against Sami over at mid-wicket and at long off.
Ooh, good ball.
Nice finish to the over there, a dot to complete it. 7 runs off the over, including the 2 extras. 7 for no loss through 1.
My son, he's so soft-spoken. Oh, yeah! Everyone says he's so good-looking, and he never forgets to call.
Hi, Mom.
Born for your true self. The 2022 Tundra. Toyota. Let's go places.
Ayan Desai coming from the San Pedro end of the ground. Desai yesterday, one of many victims of the barrage from that game, and we'll be looking possibly more than anybody else on the squad for that goldfish moment. Just forgetting that binning bit this season in the power play, an economy just a shade under 8. Still looking for his first power play wicket of the season. Left arm over the wicket, and he'll take on Malik Junaid, who looks to hoik, gets an edge to it, and that's going to run down by fine leg. Long run for, I believe, Rohit Ramkumar back there. He will chase it down before it reaches the boundary. Pair of runs to start the over.
Ayan Desai is someone who's been operating in the power play. You mentioned, Joe, and it just tells you that the wickets column hasn't ticked, and means that it's a big, big problem for Hollywood Master Blasters, because you need early wickets to set any team on the back foot. He's got to curve better. He's getting a little bit of swing, though.
Not quite enough to keep that one inside the tram lines, though.
Once again, Ravi Timbawala not collecting it properly. It's happened thrice in a matter of 2 overs.
Yeah, that wicket taking an issue all season. 5 games out of their 12, they've either taken 1 or none inside the power play. When they have gotten 3, they are 1-2 on the season. One of their 2 wins.
Yesterday, beautifully hit though. This one will not be stopped. Once it beats the infield on an outfield of this kind, it will run away. And Malik Junaid believes in a lot of power. Timing's just a second thought for him.
And he certainly has it to spare.
And this is good to see. Cody Chetty allowing Ayan Desai for the same delivery again. If I am any good with lip reading, he said, yeah, go on with the same thing. Change in field. Basant Regmi has been posted at a wide-ish long on. Cody Chetty will find himself at mid-off. This is much better. Where was this delivery hiding? Of course, you run the risk of being a touch too full when you're trying to bowl this one, Joe, because you do not have the protection of a long off here. And of course, there's no slip despite a hint of swing. Perhaps that's what is keeping Cody Chetty away from deploying a slip.
Yeah, perhaps not wanting to decide to keep that line too far to the outside. Junaid's someone who will absolutely make use of the youngster's pace and deposit it over long off given the chance. That is in the air, though, and Cody Chetty with a leaping grab will bring that down.
The field change works, the personnel change works. Cody Chetty, the taller of the two compared to Basant Regmi. And if he had to time his jump to perfection to take that, he's done it terrifically, though.
14 for 1 here as Malik Junaid goes, just 6 off of it. Another quick time here. He did get the 1 boundary. It was beautiful. Got a chance to enjoy some of his work, but tempting him into the shot, trying to go over long off and unable to clear the man. And that will be the end of the day for him. Coming out to partner the captain, Sami Aslam. That's Shivam Mishra or Zia Shahzad? I believe it is Mishra. And coming at it from the left-hand side, so that would indeed be Shivam Mishra, who up until yesterday was the leading scorer for this Golden State Grizzlies team.
Immediately you ask, and then he plays a shadow shot to tell you I'm...
A lot of other sports with things like that, come to think of it. The only thing that's been a little bit nutty with the Golden State Grizzlies is that they do have multiple number 26s. Sohan Bhatt also wearing that jersey. I've joked, though, that it's very helpful that he's a good 25 pounds lighter than Shivam Mishra. You can tell them apart. He also likes the floppy hat, so. So it will be lefty on lefty here from both ends, actually, as Desai gets a combination of Aslam and Junaid no longer at the crease.
And now that he's picked up a wicket, he's also broken the jinx. It's taken a while for him to pick up a wicket in the first 6 overs. Today would want to believe it's a different day as he's already got 1 and is preparing for the second one. Is there a Yorker somewhere around? It's something that he's been working on. That is a very good delivery indeed. It's called the corridor of uncertainty for a reason. Ayan explores.
Well, it's interesting, too. We had our discussion before. He didn't quite do it on a Nelson. Desai had given up 111 runs coming in inside the power play before this over. He did give up 6 before getting the wicket, but yet again, at least the Aussie bad luck charm there for the Golden State Grizzlies, as Desai finally does manage to get that first wicket inside the power play.
Maybe he just hopped before he started the run-up.
Final ball of the over coming from the youngster.
Oh, slip.
Slip in place, but not brought into the action, as that one is just 7 from it. 14 for 1.
What's up, Doug? What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. Fuel your best.
Trial by spin will continue. Barrett Avenue end has been the go-to place for the spinners. You ask the spinners, where did you go on holiday? They'll say Barrett Avenue.
It is quite the holiday this weekend. All the teams in from out of town. Of course, Seattle and San Diego, again, meeting in the middle. A missed field out there in the deep. That's going to allow a second run to be taken. Good alert running between the wickets.
Despite picking up a wicket, I do not see them buzzing on the field. Perhaps it's got to do with how the points table looks. But knowing Cody Shetty, he's a fighter through and through. He's got to tell his boys to be 100% at all times. Especially now that the tournament's getting to a business end. You've already seen what all the other teams, Master Blasters. Of course, they're missing the services of Nisar Patel. But that's been the case more often than not. So I really believe they should have found the mojo by now.
Well, they certainly have their chance to have a say in how the race turns out. They'll be facing off with East Bay next week in a game that could prove decisive, as the Blazers and the Seattle Thunderbolts continue to race towards 11-3 and trying to earn that second playoff spot. Yesterday's tough on net run rate, along with being in front on points.
115 runs. I'll tell you what, all these spinners for Hollywood Master Blasters, they'd be gleefully accepting the ball in hand on this particular ground.
Certainly be happy not to be dealing with the short boundaries of Field 2 today.
It's exactly why. The dimensions play a huge part, and of course there is a wind factor as well. I'll tell you what, some of the shots that you were talking about just before this game began, that Sanjay Krishnamurthy played, just didn't really matter which way the wind was blowing.
Pair of dots to finish off the over. 4 from it, 18 for 1 through 3.
पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले।
हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
Cody Shetty ensuring that the angles are covered. He's bowled well so far, Ayan. He's picked up a wicket as well.
Well, it appears that we're going to see a change of bowler here at the San Pedro end. Ajay Amadi in, one of the younger players on the team, one of the under 21 players. In fact, we've seen the under 19 replaced by the under 21 over here. Imadi, one of the few brights, given the damage that East Bay inflicted there. Also 20 runs off the bat for his own high score and his first 2 sixes in minor league cricket.
I was going to ask you exactly that. Now, of course, he's been brought into the attack. Why do you think Ayan was taken away? So it's going to be sprint from both ends? Ayan's just picked up a wicket. It's an interesting call indeed.
I did mention that split for Sami Aslam might be an aim here to try to remove him as quickly as possible. Big difference in strike.
He's a tall man. He puts his hand out and the ball sort of sticks as well.
Aslam on the season, an 87 average against pace, 18 against spin.
Maybe they're going the statistics way.
Although right now it's Shivam Mishra that they're going against, and you don't need any statistics to understand how pretty that was. Deposited over long on.
Fine for this off-spinner to be bowling in the first 6 overs is the fact that there are 2 left-handers in operation. But that also means that he's got very little margin of error. It's the first 6 overs. Only 2 men can patrol the boundary rope. One of them set a straightish long off. No one protecting the long on boundary, and he's easily clear the fence.
This time around, Mishra dancing down the track a little bit, trying to tell whether that was an attempted inside-out shot or just a bit of an edge there to Mrinal Patel at long off. Either way, it's a single to follow the 6 to bring the captain on strike for the 4th ball of the over.
Now this is the perfect delivery.
Very little to be done with that.
Because you're asking the batter to create that extra room if he wants runs on the offside, and in the bargain can pick up his wicket if he finds himself off balance. And it was very slow too. He's not trying to push it through. The perfect delivery for the off-spinner.
So I had a talk with Josh Dascombe before the game about what the left side wicket looks like, and not nearly as much grass cover down in the nice regions where somebody like Dascombe would like to bowl as a spinner. That good length is pretty bare. He is expecting maybe some variable bounce as it's a bit drier of a wicket. It's breaking up a little bit on the top, but for the spin bowlers, not a ton in it looking for turn down at a good length. And so Dascombe was saying he hoped that maybe he would hit a crack on the first one, get some turn, get that in the batter's mind, and then just try to skid it in for the next 23.
That's a great idea indeed. Very well fielded by Timil Patel. That was running away to the fence in no time. Otherwise, 4 overs gone, 25 for 1.
1, 2, 3.
And he'll continue to trouble the batters as well. Now with the angle, you're always calculating as a batter, if the ball does not turn, it's just going to dart in. And that's the delivery that can take his wicket, because an under edge is always in play. You can be chopping it onto the stumps.
Especially with a little variable bounce, that odd one that skids could be a real problem. That comes onto the bat beautifully though. Shot down wide of 3rd man, and that will be all 4 for Sami Aslam.
Owns the area at point and beyond. Anything behind point, he knows how to hit there. There is a wall on the off. I asked him, there were 2 fielders kept there. You still were able to pierce the gap. He said, would Cody Shetty believe that let's just follow the ball, or would you say, carry on, Karan? It's a matter of a wicket over here. If you bowl the same delivery and he ventures out, then Bawala could be in play, much like yesterday.
Kind of surprised that Sami Aslam knew how many fielders there were in the first place. We were joking at the time that he wasn't seeing them. Just gaps.
You know, the moment he says there were 3, it just tells me that his range is a little more than. Oh, that's gone through. Should have stopped that one. At least a couple more. You've talked about the right-hand, left-hand combinations and the teams deliberately sending a right-hander if there's a lefty already batting in the middle. There are 2 left-handers who at the moment are finding the boundaries with a sense of ease.
Of course, righty on lefty, that just the severity of the angle. You do remove one possibility for dismissal.
Oh, that should have been stopped. That should have been a dot ball. Ayan Desai knows that he wasn't at his best on that occasion. Especially if you're a fielder at point to Sami Aslam, you got to be active all the time. The coaches tell you and swear by, always expect the ball. Doesn't really matter where you are on the cricket field, always expect the ball. That way you're a nanosecond earlier ready for the ball, and that can make a whole lot of a difference. Into the over. 5 overs gone, 37 for 1. I need to see your hands for it.
My son, he's so
We'll take the final over with the field restrictions in place. Karan Varadia bowled half of them. 7 runs off the first 2, but 11 off the final over as Sami Aslam began piercing the defense on the left, on the offside to great effect. Moved the field a little bit and then deposited one over the top at long on for a pair of 4s. Aslam at the moment sitting on 16 from 16. Shivam Mishra 8 from 7. Golden State not a team that tends to race out at the beginning of the power play or the beginning of the innings. They're actually tied with Hollywood and San Diego for the slowest power play in this division at about 6.7 runs per over.
That's cost them a lot. It's a very good throw, just the fact that the glove came off very quickly. Now, Kalyan Madhireddy, well renowned in Hyderabad back in India. That's for being a skiddy customer. Today, the surface, as you were talking about, it's been such that it's holding up a little bit already. And mind you, it's the first of the 2 games to be played today. It's not a surface that you can hit through the line. A wonderful delivery, right on the money. Still a single would be possible. It's not a collect.
Good running between the wickets there. Mishra off like a shot as soon as he made contact with that ball. And Aslam and Mishra have batted a decent bit together this season. Mishra's been the glue for a lot of middle overs partnerships. And when Aslam has gotten out of the first couple of overs, he's usually lasted for a while.
Aslam wants to take the fielder on now. Again, not a clean collect, so a single would be possible without any resistance whatsoever. And it's come from one of the best fielders in LA. That was dismissed Hari Krishna as Hollywood Master Blasters were playing the San Diego Sliders. Sri Krishna trying to go inside out, gets caught at long off. That's flying off the bat, but there is protection in the deep. They'll keep it down to a single there.
The running between the wickets continuing to be on point. Both players very switched on at the moment. Mishra and Aslam beginning to settle in.
It's taken 4 deliveries for the engine to warm up. This one was perfect. Kalyan Madhireddy would be a little frustrated by a couple of singles that were taken inside the fielders to take a big start. Let them lurk at the 30-yard circle. Perfect. Timbawala thought there was bad first and then came the Willow. Kalyan Madhireddy had a better view of it, of course. End the over. 6 overs gone, 41 for 2. 41 for 1.
Fielding restrictions lifted, 7th over about to get underway, and we're going to get our first look here in the middle over the course of this season, although he did get beaten up, as did just about everybody late in the piece yesterday.
There were 2 games that Hollywood Master Blasters played yesterday. One was 16 overs when they were bowling at the East Bay Places, then came the last 4.
They were at about 131 for 4 through 16 overs, probably looking at, okay, can we chase down 160 or so? And then next thing they knew, Sanjay Krishnamurthy had put up 67 off of the final 19 balls he faced, and the total was set at 215. Absolutely torrid hitting there. There'll be these middle overs. He's good for saving about 1.36 runs worth of impact. According to Tom Nielsen's ratings. Probably would rank higher if he was taking a few more wickets, but his economy has really been what's put him in high regard at this portion. Unfortunately, after that, yikes. Just about everybody else is worth about at least 1.5 runs more than an average bowler for impact per over.
Basant Regmi usually bowls in the middle overs, you say, but at the same time, he saves at least 1 over for the death, where he does create an impact, and he's someone who learns very quickly, has the international experience of having toured the world with Nepal cricket team. So even though there were days when he went for 9 runs and over in the first 3 overs, as much to defend in the final over, was able to pick up a wicket and defend. Basant Regmi, of course, feels much better when he has more protection in the deep. So Cody Chetty seems to use him in the middle overs where there is the opportunity for Cody Chetty to play being lost.
A little bit of turn on offer there as it came back in at Sammy Aslam. Not a clean field inside the circle, and that's going to be another single.
There are lots of easy singles being allowed at this moment for Hollywood Master Blaster's liking. As a bowler as well, when you bowl at the same batter, at least for a couple of balls, and you know he's under pressure because the runs are not flowing, then opportunities can be created. Hollywood Master Blasters, they've got to find themselves to be better on the field. Something as an extra cover becomes more conventional. But the ball's been lifted towards the leg side. That'll clear mid-wicket with a sense of ease. That's gone the distance as well.
Shiva Mishra hitting with the spin there as that ball came up and in on him and right into the middle of his arc. Definitely less fresh and clean. 9 from it, 1 ball left. Brings up the 50 for Golden State as well. And
Once again, venturing in the same area, this time piercing the fielders for 4. He's hitting it with the turn and he's hitting it beautifully. What a way to end the over. We were talking about that second run being conceded, and that means 10 more has been conceded due to the same batter. 7 overs gone, 55 for 1.
What's up, Doug? What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. Fuel your best.
One panel came off, so I'm trying to go right now. Is it bolted or which one's bolted?
Venakali and Matareddy will stay on from the San Pedro end of the ground. 7 overs gone, 55 for 1. This is the part of the match where Golden State Grizzlies, by and large, tend to begin their smooth acceleration. We mentioned a pretty low-scoring team in the power play. They're good for about 8.3 runs per over. And the middle overs have largely been Shivam Mishra time as he's glued together big partnerships in the past over the 4th of July weekend. 52 with Aslam for the 3rd wicket, 127 not with Zia Shahzad. He's been very valuable at this point in the piece. Good length there from Matareddy and nothing off the first delivery. And so far, a real need for attentiveness in the field. A lot of misfields leading to a lot of bonus runs right now. For
Pressure from being mounted on, and apart from that, 2 bad balls are also being put away in every over. Venukalyan Madhireddy is inheriting a scorecard which reads more pressure. Venukalyan Madhireddy
On the season so far, Matareddy taking 15 wickets for an average of almost exactly 20 runs per.
Again, the strike bowlers, they need to churn out better statistics. Very well fielded. It had some bad bounce as well, but Rohit was good enough to bring his body behind. Venu Kalyan Madireddy, he would believe that he's getting the support that he required. That wasn't the best of his deliveries, but still it's a dot ball.
One so far from the first three. This is a little bit more like it. Went for just 5 off of his first over there in the power play, so they're going to need a little something from him to survive.
Now you create opportunities, Joe. 1 of 3 balls. Make it 4. 1 of 4. This one was cutting back in a little. Now once you string together dot deliveries, that's when you create opportunities. As a batter who's otherwise scoring freely feels the need to do something different, something out of his comfort zone. The Golden State Grizzlies would believe that last game was just an off game for Shivam Mishra. Otherwise, he's been piling up runs. And the better aspect of that game for the Golden State Grizzlies, apart from the win, is that the captain's firing. Back in form.
Single there for Mishra. 1 more ball left in the over, but indeed, Mishra a little bit... He's had a couple of short innings recently. The one off 3 against Silicon Valley, the 3 off 5 yesterday. But generally speaking, has been good for at least 20 to 30 runs. With the occasional extra bit of expression, topping out at 48 against Michigan Cricket Stars in that partnership with Hamad Azam.
That's a cheeky run. A direct hit could have been a different throw at his end, but eventually it did come as the glove came off as well from Timbabala. 8 overs gone, 58 for 1, a tidy over from Madireddy.
Took that last corner pretty quick.
Sir, I need 1 hand on the roof, 1 hand on the pump.
Timeout for Sunoco Go Rewards.
Keep in.
With new Sunoco Go Rewards, when you fuel, you save, because rewards come first.
A tidy over. And ball on this outfield just kisses the carpet of grass all the way. What a start to the over. And once again, Sami Aslam targeting the area behind point. We're talking about 2 fielders, 3 fielders. Joe, I'll tell you what, you put the whole squad there, he'll still go for it.
Somebody who certainly trusts his strengths, more so than needing to adapt to everybody. Nice purchase off the surface that time.
It's not an easy shot to hit, especially when the ball's turning into you and it's a leg spinner. He's giving it a good wrist, Timil Patel, but he's been invited into the bowling attack with a beautiful shot. Now with a single, Sami Aslam finds himself in the best spot.
And I think you see there a reaction from Shivam Mishra to seeing the turn on the prior delivery, backing away with his feet as a result, unable to reach out and get any contact to that last delivery from Timil, which seemed to straighten up.
That's another wonderful shot. As soon as you clear a tall Rohit lurking in the covers region, you are going to get 4.
And that'll bring up the 50 partnership for Mishra Aslam.
The joys of an early wicket have been robbed now from Hollywood Master Blasters as they realize Timil Patel's gone for 9 in the first 3 and the 50 partnerships also come up. A very good ball. Flighted it a little bit more despite being hit away for 2 boundary. That's the big heart you're talking about as a spinner. With that line. And this one didn't bounce as much. A dot ball. And Sami Aslam tried his bread and butter shot. 9 overs gone. 68 for 1. Yadav. Introduced into the attack. The captain's given him a point. Man, it covers, extra cover. A sweeper in place. Slightly wideish, long off, long on. Man, a cow corner as well. And deep square leg, apart from fine leg inside the circle. Salil Yadav is bowling with a lot of protection in the deep. He's expecting both the batters to take the aerial route.
And Salil Yadav yesterday, his first action as a Hollywood Master Blaster in this season. I was entrusted with 2 overs in the power play that went for 15. It was his final over, though, taking on that Krishnamurthy assault that went for 20. He did, however, on the final ball of it, get the wicket of Krishnamurthy, his first minor league cricket wicket. 2 runs off the first 2 as that one's worked down to mid-wicket. Correction, extra rather.
Change in personnel, but not change in field. Salil Yadav expecting a ball to be popped to long on, as Karan Viradia finds himself deployed there. Again, just reminds me of how we used to play ice and water, just cutting across, but using the same spots. And getting into the test match mode there, a little nice little drive down the ground. There are 2 kinds of cross where you believe you can get to the other end. Grizzlies have seen both the kinds. Now they're sort of relying on the former.
They had 1 over full of aggressive singles being taken. And can imagine a little bit out of breath at the end of that one, thinking about trying to take the easy ones, trying to deposit a ball or 2 over long off and get to just walk.
Interestingly, that over that you mentioned was of a pacer, Venu Kalyan. So that means the ball's going to go quicker off the bat. And it went nowhere but inside the 30-yard circle, still.
Distant line and length, and not really giving them much to do with it.
And to add to that, Joe, inside the power play. Salil Yadav gives away a flurry of singles. 74 for 1.
वक्त आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस, इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले। हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
Timil Patel continuing with the leg spin from the Barrett Avenue end. First ball is picked up and moved towards the boundary at extra cover. Long run, won't be able to chase that down, and a 4 to start, and the hard lifting done right out of the gate.
Timil Patel once again being greeted into the bowling with a classy boundary.
If the last over is any indication, the next one will be a 1, and the one after that will be a dot. So far, that's what he's done. 4-1 dot, 4-1 dot, 4 over the Toyota sign, just to the side of our sight screen.
It's never a good sign for a bowler where the batter is trying to tonk you right.
Saw a fair bit of that yesterday. I was waiting to see if it would accelerate East Bay trying to.
A dot ball here. Sami Aslam, I mean, if it's there to be hit, he's still going after it. That's good to see from the captain. It's not like he's deliberately wanting a single every time he goes for a big shot. Now this one will also fly away. Not much Timil Patel can do. All he can do is set a fielder and request him not to leave the boundary rope. But the ball's flying too.
And Sami Aslam that time around getting the feet moving to move to the pitch of that ball. The one before that, Timil had found that proper length, a good comeback off the 6 beforehand, and Sami Aslam, ever astute, adjusting to it.
Timil Patel's reply would be crucial here. He's gone flat. He's gone a little wide. Every time Timil Patel's given it some air, the ball's definitely got more air, but after making contact with the bat, they're much better. Sami Aslam, no. Golden State Grizzlies as they step on the gas. 11 overs gone, 90 for 1.
1, 2, 3.
"90 for 1. Golden State Grizzlies after losing an early wicket. And Salil Yadav will continue from San Pedro, scoring over 100, the strike rate. 127 for Sami Aslam and Shivam Mishra, scoring slightly higher than that, 136. Both of them have got a couple of sixes under their belt. Sami Aslam's ventured through the offside more.
And for Shivam Mishra, that strike rate almost spot on what he's done over the course of the season at 136. Sammy a little bit over his usual aggression this early. Normally accelerates when we get to the death overs to about a 150 strike rate when he's still around at that point.
Salil Yadav, 2 men for the cut shot. But the ball would be lofted on the leg side and the fielder in the deep would be a mere spectator. Sixes are not that easy to hit, Joe. There's clearly something on that bat. The ball just pings away from it.
I don't know, looks pretty straightforward to me right now.
A glorious shot. Work to do in the deep. The sweeper will collect it and clean it up, but it's a single. Good throw. Nice and low. Ronald covering ground very quickly. Sin runs at the first 2. Again, Salil Yadav under pressure. More than half an over to go. Can he turn things around here?
And Grizzlies had worked just a flurry of singles off of him in his first over of work, and finally left one in a position to be clobbered, and Shivam Mishra got it done. He'll come back on strike after a pair of singles as they go back to the original plan of working against Yadav.
What I like about Sami Aslam now that he's picked up a single of this ball as well is the fact that he's kept it very clear in this innings. Boundaries are meant to be hit on the offside. The sixes are meant to be hit on the on. He's not trying to manufacture a shot. He's just sticking to his strengths. Would this be taken? Karan Viradia in the deep. Does it have enough fuel to reach the fence? Just before the fence, it falls. Karan Viradia perhaps, in hindsight, had a little more yard to paddle back and convert that into a catch as bound.
A considerable amount of cloud cover early on. Today, not a cloud in the sky, and every now and again that can play tricks on you when you're trying to track it off the bat. I think that was hit almost directly at him, and the initial move was to rush in for it and then an immediate back pedal. And we saw Zia Shahzad take a catch like that yesterday, but it is no simple thing to do.
Nicely down the ground. The second. Not a cloud in the sky. You remind me of the Carpenters.
Imadi on that one coming all the way over from long off to field that slightly to the onside.
Ah, the top of the world. That's the song.
Over 103 for 1 at the end of 12.
My son, he's so soft-spoken. Oh, yeah. Everyone says he's so good-looking, and he never forgets to call.
Hi, Mom. Born for your true self. The 2022 Tundra. Toyota. Let's go places.
Back at it here in Morgan Hill. 12 overs gone, 29 from the last 2 for Golden State Grizzlies as they've begun to deal in boundaries. It'll bring a change of bowler at the Barrett Avenue end and a change of ends for that matter for AJ Amadi.
This should be taken. This is begging to be taken. The second wicket's here. Hollywood Master Blasters have broken the partnership.
After taking a wicket in his 1 over of work yesterday for 8 runs, today went 0 for 8 in his first over, and they decide to give him another ball. And so right now, exactly the same figures through 7 deliveries. Maybe he gets a few more this time around.
Went only as far as the 30-yard circle. And this is a time when Cody Chetty needs to regroup and tell his boys, we can fight back. They were excellent for the first 16 overs yesterday. Sort of lost the plot in the last 4 overs.
Certainly a situation here where one could bring 2 or many more than that. Zia Shahzad has been, as we discussed yesterday, very much feast or famine. The 49 not out yesterday, a 40 back up in Davis, but on either side of those, a pair of golden ducks.
I tell you what, feast or famine.
Especially with the color scheme of the Grizzlies, 49 a proper number for that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we are. We're big Niner fans out here. Grizzly colors all day, baby.
But Jadavon's at the controls, satisfied with that. Very easy to be a Grizzlies fan looking out there at the red and gold for him. Feels very natural. Partnership broken at 89 runs there between Mishra and Aslam.
Oh, fantastic delivery. And if you can do that all day, very tidy, very accurate. Is he someone who's playing with the illusion of spin, Joe? And more often than not, it's not that extravagant spin, it's the illusion of spin and ball suddenly skidding through that can take a wicket and make him a candidate for LBW as well if he's attempting the cut shot.
Now, as we discussed with Josh Dascom, he said himself this is a wicket where he would be looking just for the skid. He wouldn't be trying to turn, he'd be looking to get the right length. Have that illusion early, maybe one that, as he said, hits a crack and gets it in the batter's mind. But Imadi right now doing good work, and perhaps Mishra looking to adjust to spin that wasn't there. We have seen Imadi get a little bit of purchase off the surface, and a handful of balls, especially from this Barrett Avenue end, have spun pretty violently back into the left-handers.
Yeah, it's got a bit of venom. And still, the left-handers have managed more. In the particular case of Sami Aslam, the left-hander has managed to hit the cut shot. He's ready to fight the venom, but he doesn't want to leave his favorite shot.
That particular decision there to hit against the spin. And Sami Aslam, a prime exponent of that skill, back 45. Keep turning over the strike and give Zia a look at the final ball of the over.
And you never know, Josh Dascom might be, isn't it? Just to trouble the batter. But you got to be very accurate.
Go Nathan Lyon style.
Oh, yes.
Imadi a tidy over there, 3 from it, along with the valuable wicket of Shiva Mishra to break an 89-run partnership. 106 for 2.
We need a Toyota.
Okay.
And we need to spice this up.
Yeah. Spin set to be broken by the reintroduction of Ayan Desai from the San Pedro end. He's bowled 1 over so far, picked up the wicket of Malik Junaid in that one, that coming way back in the 2nd over of the piece, 7 runs from it. He'll look to build on Imadi's tidy over moments ago, as following a pair of overs that went for a total of 29, Imadi holding them to 3 and break. So what do you think of this field placement here against the captain Sami Aslam, Suhas?
In fact, he's foregone a man for the cut shot here. There is a backward point which sort of is masquerading as a short third man as well. Now, as we speak of him, drops back to become a more conventional, wide-ish third man. We'll wait for him to settle before we go on his angle now. He's going as wide as possible as well. So he's quite content in allowing the cut shot, but it's the pacer as well in operation. So he's got to deal with extra pace if he wants to play his favorite stroke. Apart from that, the field suggests that he's going to be looking for a single in the same region. No, he'll go through with this shot and get 4 for it. Pacer or spinner, it doesn't really matter. That's his favorite area. Every time you've given him room, he's accepted it gleefully.
And Timil Patel back there starting to move wider and wider before the ball was released, but couldn't get anywhere near wide enough. That one bordering on backward point instead of...
Plays it sort of shows you that he has so much time to adjust and collapse his back knee to get it right from the middle of the bat and in the gap. He's been squeezing those cricket balls from the gap. And this outfield, on this kind of an outfield, just looks so beautiful as it skids on the grass and goes for 4.
They now move boundary protection back to backward point as well, and so Aslam will take it to fine leg instead, and another 4 runs.
No, poor delivery. With fine leg inside the circle, you just cannot afford to stray down the line, and with Sami Aslam, who's already...
Saying, hey, cricket ball, let's go places.
Yes, sir.
We'll take the single, which was more of an afterthought, but soon realized that Ayan, the bowler, doesn't have the support he requires to even get the throw in. In the end, it was more of a backhanded attempt, off balance.
Well, he almost had Zia Shahzad running a basketball pick on that one.
Zia Shahzad stranded on 49 yesterday.
His highest score since last year's playoffs, his 74 not out against Houston Hurricanes. That one's drifting down the leg side again.
The right-hand, left-hand combination that you were talking about is slightly difficult to adjust. It's being seen over here. Because that wasn't a regular wide, it was very wide.
They'll take 2 from it, wide of the legs of the batter.
Timil Patel's been posted to third man again, and he's moving as wide as possible. What if he just opens the face of the bat and it goes fine?
Well, that would be spiteful. Instead, worked just under the attempt from Basant Regmi at square leg, and it looks like that will find its way to the boundary rope as well.
Should have been stopped. The flurry of boundaries that are coming by, it's not just a mistake of the bowler. At times, it's the fielders as well who haven't supported. It should have been a dot ball because it went too quickly to Regmi. Not that it would have allowed any time for the batter to even take a single, but instead it is 4.
After the great work from Imadi on the last over, Desai traveling right now along with the 2 wides, 3 boundaries, 15 already from it, and 2 balls left to bowl. Now trying to run it down to third man this time around. Timil Patel. Back to Zia Shahzad, who has not actually faced an official delivery in this over.
Very good delivery.
Here's the opening of the face of the bat, but third man able to hold it there inside the circle. That will do it for the over, but an absolutely pricey one. 16 from it, 122 for 2.
What's Doug? What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. Fuel your best.
Final over before the death, 15th coming up. It does appear to be, I think, AJ Imadi again from the Barrett Avenue end, where, as you mentioned, spinners have, for the most part, set up shop and never left. In fact, yet again today, every single over from the Barrett Avenue end, all the odd-numbered ones have been spin bowlers. Just 4 overs of pace used by Captain Cody Chetty so far. As a result, a very very quick innings so far, and
This should be gone. But Cody Chetty is not going to find it easy to get there. Running backwards, not easy. Falls safely. Zia Shehzad will thank his stars. Zia Shehzad, he was a goner for a moment.
Zia dropped his head and started walking laterally as if he was sure that was going to be pouched, and then saw Cody Chetty, back of his jersey, disappearing quickly, trying to chase it down, and realized, oh, okay, I might be safe. Pair of singles here to start. Our apologies for missing the half century for Sami Aslam. Happened some time ago. He didn't make a very big deal about it. There's a quick single to be taken. Direct hit at the non-striker's end, but not in time. Home safely.
Sami Aslam, the way he's paced this innings has been a treat to watch indeed. Despite an early wicket that fell, was very positive in the first 6 overs. Then in the accelerate and don't let the momentum go. When there were times where the good balls bowled at him, he took at least a single. So the dot ball percentage was, and putting the bad balls away. The perfect candidate for any opening batter.
Zia Shehzad extending the arms. This one, though, may be held by the park. Not quite. A leaping attempt and long off, but it will be 6 off the bat of Zia Shehzad, looking to make Hollywood pay for being unable to pouch that pop-up earlier in the over.
Cleanly struck. Zia Shehzad's living dangerously, though. Just wants to continue from where he left off.
Again, the expansive shot. This time doesn't come off cleanly. Ayan Desai will collect at backward square. It'll just be a single here. Sami Aslam will face the final ball of the over.
Again, that boundary ball has come by in this over. It'll be interesting to see what Sami Aslam does. Would he be content with a single to retain strike? Or would he go for a big shot here? And if he does, would he target the straighter boundaries? Because he loves to do that. Inside out. Basant Regmi moves laterally. Will pick up a single nonetheless. This is good running. End of another successful over for Golden State Grizzlies. 133 for 2.
Took that last corner pretty quick.
Sir, I need one hand on the roof, one hand on the pump.
Timeout for Sunoco Go rewards.
Keep pumping.
With new Sunoco Go rewards, when you fuel, you save, because rewards come first.
Looking good for a crescendo finish here, the Golden State Grizzlies. It's a hot and humid day here at Morgan Hill, in contrast to what it was yesterday.
Yeah, we certainly didn't get the cloud cover and mid-60s start that we did yesterday. High temperature expected to be about 5 degrees hotter.
A bat in one hand, a pair of gloves in the other. Zia Shehzad wants to go over the second. He's called it off and called it off at the right time. Aslam was batted there for a while. It's not a fresh pair of legs. Still makes it in time.
Aslam needing a moment to collect himself after slamming the brakes.
Or doing a tremendous job out there. They played a lot together. So you've got to say that they understand each other really well. And around the world too.
Yadav now coming over the wicket. Bit of a wide position there and guides that ball out towards the tram line. With Shehzad already well across his stumps. Will not be given as a wide. A dot ball here to follow off the single. Salil working quickly, and that'll be stroked to the man at extra cover. Single for Shehzad, no drama there.
Zia Shehzad has been given the license by the captain as well to go for the big shots. But that's the only kind of drama the captain would like, not when he calls off a single by calling two initially.
Halfway through the 15th, so far a tidy over for Salil Yadav. That is going to be a no ball, I have to assume, and deposited to mid-wicket. Sami Aslam pardons nothing.
Yeah, no ball. Yeah, he did.
The umpire gives it a 6 because that's all there is to give there.
That looked like what we call an ephus pitch in baseball, where the pitcher just tries to surprise you by floating a ball up at about 50 miles an hour. Obviously, in cricket, 50-mile-an-hour bowling is perfectly standard, but not usually with that kind of height.
Salil Yadav wanted to give it a bit of flight. Instead, sees the ball fly a long dive, but that's all it shall be. Anything that's called a cut shot from Sami Aslam's bat is destined to go for 4 today. And he's just continuing with the pattern. This dialogue with the ground continues for Sami Aslam. Very cheeky, it is bound to happen. Well fielded. It was just a matter of time before he went finer. The third man inside the circle as well. A single to complete the over. Yet again, he's getting the boundaries and also the singles. The dot balls, not there to be seen. Golden State Grizzlies cruise along. 16 overs gone. 146 for 2.
वक्त आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस, इसका
$16 overs gone, 146 for 2. And looks like a big finish is on the cards here, Joe.
Certainly, and Sami Aslam, as we mentioned, tends to accelerate when he is around in the death overs this season, and he's just tied with that cheeky single back behind his high score on the season here in minor league cricket at 79, not out.
He's got that 79. This innings is also about a test of fitness for him. Rohit will get there as the ball does not have enough Sunoko to reach the fence.
And continuing with the aggressive running between the wickets here as they pick up 2 off the first ball. Venakalian Madurai good for about a run-and-a-half saved per over, according to the impact metrics.
I think he would have been the only pacer to accept the ball from that end.
Yeah, possibly all weekend, come to think of it. Aslam will come out of this weekend thinking to himself, why couldn't I have played against Southern California all season? The way he has mashed against the SoCal Lashings and the Hollywood Master Blasters so far this year. Had a 79 on opening day against the Lashings, 74 yesterday, now up into the 80s for the first time this season.
Knows a thing or two about cultivating an innings and manufacturing the shots as well. And what's been very surprising is the fact that he's almost telling you that it's going to be a cut shot and he's going to get 4, and that's what he does. Towards the right and towards the left of the point fielder.
Just toying with him for the most part.
Zia Shehzad, what does he have up his sleeve? Oh, good delivery. Venu Kalyan Madhureddy. Again, that top of off stuff that the coaches talk to you about.
And very clearly on that for any manner of space. Unable to get the hands moving. Lucky it didn't pick up a glove on the way through.
I really thought it teased the outside edge as well. Venu Kalyan Madhureddy, also known for a good Yorker. It's something that we haven't seen so far. Slapped it straight down the ground. Will pick up a single. In our game of cricket, even if it's one walk like Sami is doing, he's still called a run.
What we discussed last time, unfortunately destroyed by some technical difficulties, the fun of cricket language, theorizing about Roshan Primus picking up leg buys by having it hit his biceps or something along those lines.
And the fact that it still runs away for 4. And Roshan just rubs it and gets on with it, no problem.
Imagine it would sound like ping!
And there was enough deflection as well. The keeper is looking bewildered. Will get a single, has to stick with a single. And when Sami Aslam says it's only a single, you better stay. Not just because he's the captain, but because you've got to calculate that you're the taller of the two. For him, it's more strides to get to the other end.
Venge and put some wear and tear on Zia Shahzad's brakes.
He loves the pull shot. Swing and a miss. Good collect by Ravi Timbawala, who's been on the quieter side today. He's one of the best keepers.
Yeah, certainly a far cry from somebody like a Rahul Jadiwala, who's chirping pretty much from the word go. Tidy over there from Venakalyan Madireddy.
150.
151 for 2.
One for 2 with 8 wickets in hand and 2 set batters in the middle. Golden State Grizzlies are looking good for 180 plus.
Well, and certainly based on what was done against the death bowling yesterday, they might even be targeting something above and beyond that. You could imagine them going for somewhere in that 190, even 200 range, the way that the Blazers did yesterday, and put this beyond a lot of doubt.
Cody Chetty needs to ensure that this final assault is neutralized with wickets at regular intervals. He's thrown it to Basant Regmi to try and provide the wicket, who would be floating it up in the air. Perhaps not as much as Salil Yadav tried to, but...
a delivery we still can't believe was not given as a no ball.
And in T20 cricket especially, you know the repercussions. When it's not a no ball, when it's not given a no ball, suddenly it is not a free hit as well.
Although they still managed a 4 off the following delivery, but not without a little bit of risk attached to it.
And the reason I say T20 cricket, of course, this rule translates to the other formats of the game as well. Not the longest format, though. Other formats of the white ball game. But the reason I said T20 was because that's where you need the most momentum, and the margins of victories are very, very less. Again, he's done the same thing.
I'm not sure that throw was necessary there. It didn't look like they really had much of a chance at getting Sami Aslam at the non-striker's end, but certainly could be a way of restraining things, but a bit hopeful, that throw, and gives away the run instead.
If he's looking for a 6, it's going to be on the leg side. If he's looking for a boundary, it's going to be on the offside.
Recent history would suggest.
I think he's going to bowl on the off as well, Basant Regmi, because... yes, he's pulled slightly wider as well, because he has a little counter sign with the bowler, which we are picking up. Perhaps we can't say for the right reasons.
As long as no one's being a trash can, I think we'll be okay.
Are you taking a dig at Andrew, who's trying to throw bottles from up there? The second run score. This is a test of temperament for the captain.
Hoping to only take a step or two to each side every now and again. Likely need the whole 10-minute act. By the way, a quick note, the last single from Sami Aslam puts him at 87. That is his new high score here in minor league cricket over the course of these 2 years.
That is the best form of a single that Sami Aslam would like at this stage. When you're sauntering and dawdling to the other end and you don't have to fight Zia Shahzad's last-minute calls. Basant Regmi. So far, so good for him. He's starved the batters of the boundary they were looking for. Trying to bowl wide as well. He doesn't have a big follow-through too. which can be helpful, especially when someone's trying to take a quick single because you're there to collect the ball at the non-strikers. 18 overs gone, 1 foul.
Overs remaining here in the first innings, and the 159 for 2 at the moment for Golden State Grizzlies as we sit. Partnership developing here has gotten up to 56 between the two since the wicket was taken of Shivam Mishra on 103 for 2. Second 50 partnership of the match. We do have a moment here as have some drinks or some new gloves, I think, run out perhaps to Zia Shahzad. We know earlier we saw him carrying his gloves, trying to air them out between deliveries faced, so finally got to be too much.
Perhaps that's why he was running too quickly, to provide it more air, to dry it out quicker. Sami Aslam did not know that.
That's an intriguing theory, Suhas. Venakalian Madhureddy steaming in again, a shot, but protection in the deep at mid-wicket. It'll just be a single off the first ball here for Sami Aslam, who is now officially stalking his first minor league cricket century.
11 away from it. And Zia Shahzad, he's tried his best to go for the big shots, but Venu Kalyan has tied him down with some good deliveries in the right areas outside off. Runner ball 13 for Zia. Would want to finish with a strike rate higher than 100 for sure. Now that it's the death overs, smashes it back straight down the ground. It's a very wide long off, gets around it eventually. It's 4-0. That's the kind of game that Zia Shahzad's playing.
Yeah, well, without doubt on that one, the intent very much then. Taking advantage, though, of the right-left combination. A couple of singles here to start.
Himself the room to play the shot. Started with the middle stump guard, and now he's on the leg stump. Moves into the 90s. Sometimes it's the best that the batter is not aware that he's in the 90s because the extra pressure doesn't get to him.
Well, then we should be a little quieter about it.
Not that he has 1 year on comment.
By his partner taking the last couple of runs. What if he keeps Sammy at like 97 or 98? Not out.
I'll tell you what, Zia Shahzad wasn't aware that he was nearing a landmark, to be very honest. Otherwise, he would have just walked to Azam and told him, I understand you're going to hit 2 boundaries over here. It's right up your alley, but knowing Zia, he's a complete team man. Only realized that he was on 49 while he was taking the pads off, and the 2 points were already collected.
2 balls left here in Madhureddy's spell, and that is going to get a little bit over the head and be a wide. Just a bit too much bounce from the tall man.
And competitively, Sami Aslam is not the tallest. So he's got to curb that bouncer as well. Back of a length stuff, which sort of becomes a perfect bouncer for someone of Sami's height, isn't it? You have to face the chin music, got to get into a contortion. That wasn't very well executed from Venu Kalyan. Still waiting for the Yorker. That was an attempted one that's going to run away for 4. This is the classiest of all shots we've seen today from Sami Aslam as he ventures well into the 90s.
And Dafa News, take note, another candidate here for shot of the match, potentially shot of the week. Absolutely classy work there by the captain. Continuing to motor towards that landmark, just 6 away now. Of note, first boundary conceded today by Venakalian Madhureddy on his now about to bowl his 24th delivery. It's been very tidy today.
The first one that was pitched up, and Sami Aslam's eyes went agog. Now that he quietly taps it down and picks up a single, moves to 95, 5 away from what would be a terrific century. And he's got...
Everyone says he's so good looking, and he never forgets to call.
Hi, Mom. Born for your true self. The 2022 Tundra. Toyota. Let's go places.
It'll be Basant Regmi to get the ball for the final over of this first innings, 169 for 2. The crescendo finish has been a little bit on the lacking side here, generally speaking going at about a run a ball, 5 off the 17th, 8 off the 18th, 10 off the 19th. It is a crescendo by definition, more and more, but they haven't really gotten to full voice just yet.
Yeah, it looks... Will not have the fuel to get there. We'll try and wait for the umpire signal here. They've stopped running though, and celebrations have started. That means it's 4. That means it is 4 with 1 run short of what would be a terrific century. Sami Aslam finds himself at the business end.
Beautifully worked back to third man and splitting a pair of fielders back there inside the circle. Aslam's been big on the cut shot, and so they've got the protection a little bit further forward. That one cut a bit back behind.
Would it be poetic justice if he gets there with a cut shot? Any quiet single all around the ground would do. This should do. He's called for 2 here. He's called for 2. A test of fitness, a test of temperament. Sami Aslam gets to the 3 figures mark, and it is a magical moment in 2022 Toyota Minor League Cricket Championship for the young Sami Aslam at heart. He has run so many singles and 2s and peppered this innings throughout with wonderful shots through the offside and excellent cricketing shots down the ground too.
A maiden century for Sami Aslam, and we mentioned a little bit at the beginning, Golden State still mathematically alive for potential going. Of note, the Seattle Thunderbolts have given up 183 on the other field to the San Diego Surf Riders. That is music to the ears of Sami Aslam and the Grizzlies.
He's gone for the second here. Look at the proactiveness of the man. He's taken the arm on of the keeper. Does he get there in time? Yes, he does. We've talked about being switched on. Today has been a complete innings from Sami Aslam. He's checking all the boxes of what it requires to be best in the business. Converting singles into 2s, generating half opportunities, and also smashing the ball away a long, long way when it's there to be hit.
And of course, at a time like this, well aware that the rest is coming. Just 3 balls left in the innings, wants to make maximum use of him. Zia Shahzad has not really gotten himself going at the other end, and so Aslam taking every opportunity to make sure he retains strike for these last few balls.
The dot ball is priceless at this stage. The problem for Hollywood Master Blasters is the fact that every time they've picked up a wicket, they haven't chipped in with another. They've let the partnership brew and blossom. 177 for 2 here, the Golden State Grizzlies.
And the partnerships have been 14, then 89. This one now on 74 and counting.
Looks like 180 is on the cards. The boundary here would make it more. Sami Aslam has gone through with a cut shot again. There is a sweeper in place to ensure that it's only a single. To face the final delivery of the innings, it's going to be Zia Shahzad. There's a change in field here. More protection on the offside, inside the circle, as extra cover has been appointed.
I have to imagine Zia Shahzad's goal here is going to be to read what he can off of the field setting about where the ball might be, and then try to make the field irrelevant by depositing it over the boundary. He's done it once so far in this innings.
Well called, my friend. Yes, did want to dance down the track, but unfortunately the music was switched off.
In some sports, Basant Regmi would now have to bowl it from 5 yards further back. False start.
But he's well within his rights to do so in the game of cricket. Yes. What if Zia Shahzad pulls away now? Then it becomes a mind game. Slips, doesn't get the distance. Will pick up 2 nonetheless. The second run is a jog. But those 2 runs would mean Golden State Grizz reach a round figure of 180. And that's not the crescendo finish they were hoping for. But there's a lot more to be very, very gleeful about. The captain finishing unconquered with a century. And Zia Shahzad trying his best to finish with a strike rate of 100, and he does.
On those last 2 runs coming out, almost thanks to the fact that Shahzad lost his footing on that one. I think if he gets a little bit more onto it, it carries to the man, and it's his wicket gone and 2 fewer runs on the total. So the 180 courtesy of of just breaks going the way of the Grizzlies today.
I've got to say, it's got to be 60-40 in the favor of the bowling team, but you never know. A good start with Rohit getting off the mark with a flyer and Cody Chetty chipping in. This could be a great game indeed for Hollywood Master Blasters. 181 is the mission they would be on. I'm Suhas Vedam, joined by Joe Hickey. We'll meet you very shortly with the Hollywood Master Blasters reply.
Spin bowling, and he's lost his wicket most of the time to it. That one guided down to third man. That'll be fine enough of Basant Regmi to allow a quick single to be scampered. First runs of the day, and the Golden State Grizzlies are off here against Karan Varadia.
It wasn't the case with the bat in hand. Today would want to change it. That's completely missed. The keeper is the only person to be blamed. The ball, will it reach the fence? Eventually does. Basant Regmi never slowed down though.
4 byes. They are 1-2 on the season. One of their 2 wins.
Yesterday, beautifully hit though. This one will not be stopped. Once it beats the infield on an outfield of this kind, it will run away. And Malik Junaid believes in a lot of
the youngster's pace and deposited over long off given the chance. That is in the air though, and Cody Chetty. Mishra that they're going against, and you don't need any statistics to understand how pretty that was. Deposited over long on. Especially with a little variable bounce, that odd one that skids could be a real problem. But third man, and that will be
3. Excellent shot, now venturing. But the ball's been lifted towards the leg side. That'll clear mid-wicket with a sense of ease. That's gone the distance as well.
Brings up the 50 for Golden State as well. And once
again, venturing in the same area, this time piercing the fielders for 4. A tidy over. Timil Patel needs to keep the pressure on. That's been cut away. And cut away so nicely. Covers region.
Timil Patel continuing with the leg spin from the Barrett Avenue end. First ball is picked up and moved towards the boundary at extra cover. Long run. Won't be able to chase 4. Let's see. That doesn't look like a 1. Absolutely crushed by Sami Aslam over the Toyota sign just to the side of our sight screen.
He's deliberately wanting a single every time he goes for a big shot. Now this one will also fly away. Not much Timil Patel can do. All he can do is set a fielder and request him not to leave the boundary rope. But the ball's flying too. Salil Yadav. 2 men for the cut shot. But the ball would be lofted on the leg side and the fielder in the deep would be a mere spectator. He's not trying to manufacture a shot. He's just sticking to his strengths. Would this be taken? Karan Varadia in the deep. Does it have enough fuel to reach the fence just before the fence?
Barrett Avenue end, and a change of ends for that matter for AJ Amadi.
This should be taken. This is begging to be taken. The second wicket's here. Hollywood Master Blasters have broken the partnership.
After taking a wicket in his 1 over of work yesterday.
In the particular case of Sami Aslam, the left-hander has managed to hit the cut shot. He's ready to fight the venom, but he doesn't want to leave his favorite shot.
Well, if you're a connoisseur of cricket literature and have taken a look at Ben Jones and Nathan Lemon's recent book, it's titled for that particular decision there to hit against the spin. And
apart from that, the field suggests that he's going to be looking for a single in the same region. No, he'll go through with this shot and get 4 for it. The grass and
fine leg instead, and another 4 runs.
Goes fine.
Well, that would be spiteful. Instead, worked just under the attempt from Basant Regmi at square leg, and it looks like that will find its way to the boundary rope as well.
The perfect candidate for any opening batter.
Zia Shahzad extending the arms. This one, though, may be held by the park. Not quite. A leaping attempt. Halfway through the 15th, so far tidy over for Salil Yadav. That is going to be a no ball, I have to assume, and deposited to mid-wicket. Sami Aslam pardons nothing.
It just slips out of his hand, perhaps. He's gone with a leg spin. An excellent dive, but that's all it shall be. Anything. Still waiting for the Yorker. That was an attempted one that's going to run away for 4. This is the classiest of...
Gotten to full voice just yet.
Yeah, it looks like they've forgotten the tuning fork.
That
That's hit away. That's hit away and will not have the field. He's called for 2 here. He's called for 2. A test of fitness, a test of temperament. Sami Aslam gets to the 3 figures mark and in distance will pick up 2 nonetheless. The second run is a jog, but those 2 runs would mean Golden State Grizzlies reach a round figure of 180.
You're watching the Toyota Minor League Cricket Championship, presented by Sunoco.
One. Golden State Grizzlies owing to a fantastic century from the captain. Sami Aslam, they got to 180 with plenty of wickets in hand. Lower times. Otherwise, I do not see anything else with this pitch. There were a couple of balls which sort of gripped when the spinner ball. Lot relies on the openers. He's been the man in form and he loves it when the ball comes onto the bat nicely. Loves to go in. Ruchir Joshi will start off the proceedings with the ball in hand. From the San Pedro end. Be good enough on the day. First ball with Rohit on strike. Runs to the board right away. There is a slip in place though. So wind is picking up as well. There would be a hint to swing, but Joshi needs to get it right.
It is something that can get you a little bit of movement, and it can also destroy a little bit of swing by just giving you too much turbulent flow to begin with. You kind of need that combination of laminar flow on one side, turbulent on the other, and too much wind and you get in trouble. You need a little bit more stillness.
Edged and almost taken. That did carry. The slip was very tactically placed slightly wider. It was almost a second slip and not the conventional first. Ruchir Joshi generates an opportunity. There's nothing more you can ask from a pace bowler first up. The outside edge was granted, but not collected or pouched.
Indeed, looked like he got the swing that he was looking for on that one. And an early wicket here, especially in a situation where Golden State both have to have an eye on picking up the win and trying to make up the net run rate. They are at a point now where their best case scenario is drawing level with East Bay and winning on that tiebreaker as the third delivery of the over drifts down the leg side for a wide.
That is exactly what I meant by him being able to curb the ball. He's got to recalibrate his line length. Of course, right again. Rohit has been the big fish. Poor delivery.
Difficulty that Hollywood have had this season getting off to good starts. Mrunal Patel back in at the top of the lineup, and he has had some immense struggles as an opener this season.
And that's been one of the concerns for Hollywood Master Blasters, isn't it? Mrunal Patel not firing. Was sitting out in LA. Of course, was called to field in that particular game when Basant Regmi got a little injured. Ruchir Joshi gets it right finally. As a pace bowler in the first 6 overs, if you want to, if you know that you have the swing as well in your kitty, you've got to make the batter play.
Now that needs to be swerving in on the pads or swerving away and picking up edges. So far here, just starting it a little bit too close.
What a delivery. You place a fourth stump and it would have been cartwheeling. This is the best of the lot.
Besides the wides, an excellent start here for Joshi, to be honest. Just a pair of singles, 3-dot balls on the trot right now to Rohit Ramkumar at the other end. Stay within them. So a dot ball to finish. It'll be 4 for no loss through 1.
What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. Fuel your best.
Deshpande, bright blue sleeves, making sure that any commentator can identify him, no matter how narrow the numbers might be. Gives up a single on the first ball here to Mrunal Patel. We're starting to mention, though, Ramkumar coming in with a 22.3 average, 106 the strike rate. Mid-season addition here for the Hollywood Master Blasters. Patel on the other end has generally been scoring slowly, 90. And has frequently lost his wicket cheaply, 10.1 the average on the season. And those numbers get worse inside the power play for him so far this year, 7.1 the average and 66.3 the strike rate. So looking for a bit of a comeback. He's batted further down the order the last couple times he's been in. Today back in the opener slot, currently at the non-striker's end. Ramkumar has that one skid just wide of the bat for a dot.
A terrific delivery indeed, and immediately Rohit Ramkumar inspects the pitch. It's a second genuine waft, and he's got one beauty of a delivery on either end now.
Slip and play there in Aditya Srinivas.
Sami Aslam's got to attack as well, because this game's so much about the net run rate now.
Yeah, you would expect, given just the history recently here for the Hollywood Master Blasters, that 180 is probably a bit beyond what you can expect them to chase down at this point. And so, yeah, style of victory, every bit as important as getting it done, period.
And a lot relies on Rohit Ramkumar, because he's the more attacking of the two. Mrunal Patel scored a terrific half-century against Guyana. And that's when he was at his peak. The legend Shivnarine Chandrapal came up to him, gave him a fist bump and said, well, that is one innings you'll remember for a long time for the sheer theatrics involved. Wickets falling at regular intervals as he stayed put. He's shown a lot of grit in his pitching form throughout the tournament. I want to believe today is the day. This one just skids and keeps low. It's one of those balls which, as a fielding team, you feel, well, thank God we've already batted.
And Deshpande hoping to improve upon some of his recent figures. 32 for 18 in 18 balls yesterday. Did pick up a wicket against the SoCal Lashings.
Beautiful. That's crunched from the middle of the bat. Will be a single, but a single which will give him a lot of confidence. Mrunal Patel. Seven for no loss after two.
वक्त आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस। इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले। हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
Required quick reactions as Ruchir Joshi buried that in on the body of Mrunal Patel. Well and truly away now. 7 runs for him out of the 11 on the board. Ramkumar with 2. The other 2 coming courtesy of a pair of wides in that first over from Joshi that went for 4. Joshi so far this year a bit on the man. Had extra cover. No run taken there. A dot. Patel remains on strike here. Over is gone, going at about a run a ball. We'll need to up the pace there. Golden State very interested in that one. A Seattle loss means they don't have to worry about Seattle's run rate anymore. They would have the opportunity to simply pip them in the standings for points by sweeping the pair of games up in the Pacific Northwest. Single to the offside here for Patel.
You've got to accumulate as many as possible with field restrictions in place. That is exactly why Rohit Ramkumar, who's lurked around Rohit. And after every ball, you could see him inspect the pitch. Wants to be absolutely sure.
Well, we mentioned not a whole lot of live grass in the area that spinners are targeting, but very much at that good length for pace bowlers. An opportunity to get some skid or get some movement off the seam as well. Joshi.
Straight to the fielder. The Centurion. Sami Aslam. Rohit Ramkumar does it again. Now it's become a part of the routine for the batter. Played a lot of cricket in Botswana. Growing up in Botswana, now calls USA his home. He's one of those very rare cricketers that you would find who's brought up in Botswana, played for Botswana, but had the opportunity to travel to South Africa and play a lot of good cricket there too. He's got the caliber, but does he have the grit today to perform at his best? 3 overs gone, 12 for no loss. 13. Give me that card back.
Anish Deshpande stays on from the Barrett Avenue end. 43 per as a Master Blaster. Got a chance to see him as it works out. This is the matchup that I was calling in my very first game calling matches for minor league cricket. Master Blasters and Grizzlies. Relatively easily won. I think Shivam Mishra finishing off the chase in style.
Just to have the word in balance, you know, world in balance when Joe is on comms. The Grizzlies decided to bat first.
Yeah, my world feels very balanced when I'm on comms, sitting at square leg, perhaps even backward square, and at long on.
Watch out for Vatsal Vaghela today. Just get a feeling again from Sand. If Basant Rekmi's overs were any indication, there are a couple of spots where the ball is sort of holding up a little. Not easy to hit away. Otherwise, the Pacers have a decent job with the surprise. Classy, that is stylish. Will run away to the fence. That's more Mrunal-like.
On the season, a 34, a 26, and a 12 to his name. Every other match, though, he's been dismissed before he's even faced 10 balls. So just about past that vanguard at the moment now. In fact, 12 off of 9 thus far. So he will at least get to double-digit balls faced. It's generally been a different...
Innings becomes a flash in the pan, but he had to go for it. The pressure was mounting. Grizzlies have got the early breakthrough.
And Anish Deshpande taking the wicket of his former teammate.
Get off the field!
Big one for him, his third of the season. Has looked pretty decent in the last couple of matches that we've seen him. Admittedly different opposition now, taking on SoCal Lashings and now the Hollywood Master Blasters, but I feel like cricket has a little bit in common with basketball. There's an old saying with basketball where if you're having a bad shooting day, it's just a matter of getting to see one of them go through the net, and it can change your entire mindset. You get on a rough stretch, and that's what can help break you out of it. And at that point, especially good shooters, usually one goes in and you kind of say to yourself, if you're opposing them, oh no. Klay Thompson and Steph Curry spring to mind. Perhaps a similar situation for Deshpande, maybe an opportunity for him to, to see some success here and then try to build on that going forward.
And very rightly so, they spring to mind. I'll tell you what, with the way Mrunal got that boundary, very stylish and elegant, I really thought he was in for the long haul. Decides to go the aerial route, gets got.
And that is the danger there too, especially with the amount of ground that Zia Shahzad can cover out there. We saw that catching one off his own bowling yesterday towards the end of the match. A fantastic sprinting grab in order to, I believe, to get wicket number 9, I think, in that one. It was something else. The man can move.
That was a very good catch indeed. It's one of the highlights, isn't it? Apart from his 49, that's a catch that you can't forget. Usually the catches that involve the dives, you know, the theatrics are the ones that you stick to mind and you remember for a long time. He didn't let that happen by being even more brilliant to get to the ball with his long strides.
Yeah, quite a day for him. 49 not out, 3 wickets taken, 1 catch off his own bowling, and played havoc with the ball in the air. Just overall for him a spectacular day, and today already with another catch, and of course we'll see him bowl in the middle overs.
Another dot ball. Hollywood Master Blasters got to keep an eye on the dot balls that they're playing. That could be the difference after 4.
My son, he's so soft-spoken. Oh, yeah. Everyone says he's so good-looking, and he never forgets to call.
Hi, Mom. Born for your true self. The 2022 Tundra. Toyota. Let's go places.
And here we go. It's going to be Vagella from the other side. First introduction of spin, although coming a bit surprisingly from the San Pedro end, as Vatsal Vagella will enter the action, enter the attack here. And we continue to keep one eye on field number 2, where Seattle are 3 wickets down inside the power play, chasing 184 against the SoCal Lashings at 2:30. That one worked around the corner by the new batter, the captain of the Hollywood Master Blasters, Cody Chetty. He's off the mark with a single against Vagella.
So far, it's been a quiet start for Hollywood Master Blasters. They've got to maximize the last 2 overs of the power play. Vatsal Vagella would be trying to bowl into the pitch, much like yesterday.
Fantastic day for him yesterday. Just 11 runs conceded off of his 4 and a wicket taken. And he's been very economical most of his matches. Has had one where he got knocked around a little bit for 43. Sort of soured his statistics overall, but he's been pulling that back bit by bit after coming back from Zimbabwe.
Yes, absolutely. Zimbabwe, Namibia. He's got a taste of international cricket and has learned a lot by rubbing shoulders with the best in the business.
Grizzlies will be glad that they're chiefly using him in the T20 setup right now, so they are not without his services on a weekend when they absolutely have to win. That one cut through the gap on the offside. That's going to run away for a boundary.
More to come is what the Hollywood Master Blasters would want to believe. The captain showing the way with a boundary that was so very well hit. He's pierced the gap beautifully on that occasion, Cody Chetty.
Looking like the mirror image of the other captain earlier today with that cut shot. That one on the aerial route is going to get over the men in the circle. Shiva Mishra way too far off over at long off to have
this. It would be inside out. This is exactly what I meant by upping it very, very hard. Or a chip over the infield would also do the job on this kind of an out.
Catches the edge. No run there for Chetty.
Once that single was on the back foot as well while he played it.
Good pressure put on there. Aslam unable to take the clean collect, and in fact they'll get 2 out of it. Sammy takes a moment, I think, to get his shoe back on. I think he popped right out of his clogs.
Absolutely, and he slipped and fell and became a little Cinderella moment as he wears the shoe back.
Productive over for Cody Chetty. 1 left in the power play, 30 for 1. Final over with the fielding restrictions, and they're going to stick with Anish Deshpande from the Barrett Avenue end. That one getting by Karan Chandel, the wicket keeper, for just a moment, but not far enough to allow any taking of a bye here. Dot to start things off. Deshpande so far very solid inside this power play. Gave up 3 off of his first over.
Straight down the ground will pick up a single. Perhaps he's also hanging back and wanting to play a different role today, the anchor's role, because he's already seen his captain score a couple of classy shots that went before. Play a couple of classy shots.
Golden State Grizzlies, the way they've gone about their business so far this season has been a matter of control throughout the innings and then strike bowling at the death. Now, quick single on off or throw to the wicket keeper's end. Not in time and not collected.
It's a big call, isn't it, for Golden State Grizzlies management? You know your strike bowler is not your 100% at the moment. It's not 100%, but it's a must-win game as well. And at the same time, you believe that you would be advancing in the tournament, so you want him better for the bigger games. So workload management becomes important. Catch it is the call. Will it carry just before Zia Shehzad decides to get the dive in? Safe and sound there, Rohit.
As a batter, the second it gets anywhere near the orbit of Zia Shehzad, we've seen already what he's capable of, and appreciate the use as well of the big red floppy cricket hat to make it easy to identify even when he's well far away from us.
Finger has gone up.
And just as we were commenting on the value of Zia Shehzad in the field, used to seeing him take the catches, that time aggressively charges, turns, fires, and with maybe a stump and a half to aim at.
His team needed him to fire. Going for a cheeky single. And gets a direct hit. Fantastic work by Zia Shehzad. Good collect and a lovely release. Move.
And there's a saying as well in baseball that if you have the opportunity to force someone to make the perfect throw in order to get you out, for instance, trying to score at the plate or something like that, that you go for it. You take that risk, you force him to make the perfect throw. In that moment there, Zia Shehzad makes the perfect throw. He's got to tip your cap at that point and head on back to the pavilion.
Zia Shehzad, a complete cricketer, contributing with a ball in hand, with a bat in hand as well. He is having a wonderful tour.
Yeah, pretty remarkable. Haven't seen him yet with the ball in hand to bowl, and already responsible for both of the wickets. The catch of Mrunal Patel and the run out just then of Ramkumar.
He's doing everything in his powers to ensure that Golden State Grizzlies, with the bat in hand, I really thought didn't get going. Run a ball 15 for a man who usually scores over 100 easily, and he's coming off a fantastic 49. Got to say, it was a little stuck.
We mentioned he's been a bit alternating good performances with subpar ones with the bat, and so today maybe a little subpar, at least not a golden duck like it had been the last 2 times he was subpar. Swing and a miss there for Cody Chetty on what will be the final ball of the power play. Fantastic over. Great bowling so far from Anish Deshpande from the Barrett Avenue end. Just 2 from it, and the wicket of Rohit Ramkumar, 32 for 2 as the fielding restrictions release.
What's up, Doug? What got into you?
Your best.
In the deep for him as the power plays come to an end at 32 for 2. Just for the sake of comparison, the Golden State Grizzlies were at 42 for 1 at this stage of the encounter. So the worm very much in their favor. 10 runs to the good, as well as 1 wicket more in hand at that point. That is a delicate shot run down towards the boundary at third vicinity. In fact, according to the umpire, no touch whatsoever to the ball. That is in fact going to be a bye. And so a pair of runs from it, but Ravi Timbawala still not officially off the mark. Comes Vagella targeting the pads. That one may well have gotten a piece of them. Umpire unmoved by the appeal from the 20-year-old from Milpitas. Good start for trying to bring down his total after that 43 that he went for a few weeks into the season. Another dot ball as he has Ravi Timbawala in 2 minds. Fifth stump line, that's going to be spiked into the ground by the fielder, and in fact is going to be overthrows. Does look like the man at extra cover thought better of trying to throw down to the non-striker's end, but could not quite stop his motion in time. Aditya Srinivas having it slip out of his hand after slamming the brakes on. Gives away the free run. Two for Tim. Oh, go ahead.
This one kept straight. Again, we're talking about the illusion of spin and Vatsal Waghela wanting to utilize that, Joe, that they're so desperately requiring. Again, no room to work with. Very quickly gets through the overs as well.
Indeed, that's all 6 of the balls very rapidly.
One hand on the roof, one hand on the pump.
Timeout for Sunoco Go rewards.
Keep pumping.
With new Sunoco Go rewards, when you fuel, you save, because rewards come first.
Seven overs gone, 36 for 2. Hollywood Master Blasters in need of a little bit of Sunoco to get themselves moving a bit quicker toward the finish line. On the other hand, so far we've seen Vatsal Waghela starve them of the sweet nectar of the boundary.
The required rates climbed up to 11 and up, and I really believe it's going to be Cody Chetty to go for the big shots here. He's got to bring the required rate under control.
Ravi Timbawala not renowned for going at a high strike rate so far this season, a 96.4, better against pace, and so continuing with spin now from both ends as Sohan Bhatt enters the attack. Perhaps the prescription to keep him rooted to the crease. Single to start here for Chetty. Chetty similarly today.
Straight to covers. It's again to be very quick. If he wants the second, the throw is on its way. Would have to settle with a single. First, a good catch and then a direct hit. Now the throws are also being dispatched quickly.
Moves to 13 runs. This now tied for his best score since the weekend right after the 4th of July. Started the season strong, a 45 and a 30 during that trip to Texas. A couple of nice scores as well when Seattle came down to visit, a 28 and a 38 the weekend after. But since then, move here, Timbawala with a single and 1 ball left in the over. That one coming up. Suspicions of LBW on there, but turned aside by the umpire. Valley Strikers, the only game all season where Shahzad hasn't taken a wicket. He's got 10 in his last 5, including 3 for 27 yesterday.
Definitely a man in form. Going to translate some of the form to his bowling as well. Excellent stop. That was running away quickly otherwise. And not just that, it took very little.
Line up there at cover.
To do for plugged. And Sami Aslam's done his home against these 2 batters. You could just sense the amount of risk that was taken for that particular single by exposing the stump. Looks like the batter wasn't ready. It's not like he offered the bat, it just had the time to get settled, to face the next one. Big loud call, no. wants no drama whatsoever. Cody Chetty. Cody Chetty has played a lot of T20 cricket around the world, rightfully the captain, hence it's called for 2 over here. Get to the ball and immediately the glove comes off. How important is that? The glove coming off so that the throw could be full strength.
No, absolutely. One of those reflexes that you've just got to get ingrained. The moment you take off, that's got to be just part of the same motion.
Didn't bounce as much. Zia Shehzad's also trying to make mental notes of where exactly to pitch, and I think he's going to web around the batter when he's going to turn a couple of balls and not let one turn, and the batter plays for turn and generates the outside edge. Oh, excellent fielding. A puff of dust as the batter gets to the pitch of the ball but doesn't get it in the gap. A dot ball nonetheless. Zia Shehzad tidy as ever. 9 overs gone. 42 for 2.
वक्त आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस। इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले। हाँ।
Very wristy, but a single. Hollywood Master Blasters, they've got to look for bigger denominations over here. The required rate's running away.
Well, indeed, and Golden State Grizzlies on the defensive end are doing fantastic work, both from the bowlers, bowling good lines and good lengths to keep the batters rooted, and really have barely put a foot wrong in the field at the moment now. I believe it's 11 runs off the last 21 deliveries since the dismissal of Rohit Ramkumar, so even slow for Hollywood at this point as they try to stay alive in this innings.
Oh, very well done. Just making the batter go at it with hard hands by slowing it down. Almost inviting Ravi Timbawala to use the pace, use the power if he wants. Again, a single, and a single won't pinch the Golden State Grizzlies at all. Required rates already touched the 13 mark.
Well, and certainly Timbawala is taking some of the swings the last couple of deliveries, but just not finding the middle of the bat.
Catch it is the call. This should be catch practice indeed. Vatsal Vaghela will make no mistake. A simple pouch and Cody Chetty departs.
120-year-old spin. 44 for 3.
Much like his counterpart, his team required a captain's innings with the required rate running away with the 13 and beyond, and wickets falling at regular intervals. Something to provide the impetus, but wasn't to be today. It's going to be a long, long walk back to that dugout of his. A lot more pressure on the batter coming in, as Hollywood Master Blasters are reeling at 44 for 3. The target of 181 is looking like a distant dream. Ravi Timbawala has got to take the initiative.
How low they can keep this score, and speaking of distant dreams, aiming at a potential playoff spot and knowing that net run rate's going to come into it. They continue to look over, by the way, at other field, and a decent restabilization at the moment for the Seattle Thunderbolts. They are now 73 for 3. They have yet to lose another wicket since back in the 4th over. That is with exactly the halfway point, 10 overs in, and so their required rate sitting at almost exactly 11 in order to get a victory that they are desperate for, given that the remaining games for their competitors, the East Bay Blazers, are against SoCal and these Hollywood Master Blasters.
11 on a ground which sort of sports a smaller boundary rope on one side. I think it's going to come down to how many overs Marty Kane has left and how well he's going on that particular day as well.
Runs from it, and the valuable wicket of the captain, 45 for 3.
1, 2, 3.
But 3 and 2. as we've talked about, chasing a lofty total. So is Hollywood. Seattle at the moment a little more in their game than
Azad. It's one of those moments when, as a bowler, you're also appealing at the same.
Yeah, no Stuart Broad celeb appeal right there. Nothing of the sort.
Now, more importantly for Hollywood Master Blasters, now Tim Bavala is on strike. Let's forget Timber and concentrate on Tim Bavala. Karan Viradia, mind you, has played a lot of good innings for Gujarat growing up from under 19 to under 25, and whenever he used to tour Baroda, he's regarded as one of the best in the business. 36 runs, it's a long, long way ahead.
Viradia with a 41 to his name this season as his high score. Timbawala has gone for 55 up until a week or so ago. He had the only 50 recorded this season by the team. Chance at the wicket keeper's end. Finger stays down from the square leg umpire, and the two taken just barely safely.
End of another tidy over for Zia Shehzad. 48 for 3 after 11.
He's so good looking, and he never forgets to call.
Hi, Mom. Born for your true self. The 2022 Tundra. Toyota. Let's go places.
Twelfth over, Sohan Bhatt continues from the Barrett Avenue end, his third over of work from that side on the trot. The Worms right now diverging quite markedly as Golden State continues to bowl tight here. Nothing on for Karan Viradia. There is the sweep shot. That one in the air is going to fall just in front of Anish Deshpande at backward bear. The intent there that time around, but the result the same as we've been seeing, mostly dots and singles to this point. Last boundary hit by the Hollywood Master Blasters all the way back in the 5th over. This one to long off. Zia Shehzad up with it. Another single for Timbawala, bringing Viradia back on strike.
The 50 has come up, but it's been a road that hasn't granted great advancement. Karan Viradia has provided some impetus and has got to keep going. It's one of many to come is what Hollywood Master Blasters would believe. Because here's a man who's turned things around, especially in the Gujarat region of India. Can he provide the punch that Hollywood Blasters require at this stage? 6 could be breaking the shackles. Wants to get that single. Might even get more. He's got to run around the stump. Throw was this time at the non-strikers end that people are throwing to. Survives the scare both the times there.
Having to play a little bit of dodgeball over there. Viradia breaking a streak of 41 deliveries without a boundary. Just his second 6 of the season.
And Viradia playing a bit of kho-kho, as you believe it was almost sold a dummy, because you trust the non-striker when it goes behind you. And anyways, as a batter, he was giving enough cues to the opponents that he did not know where the ball was. A dot ball, an eventful over. Hollywood Master Blasters getting a move on. 58 for 3.
What's up, Doug? What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. Fuel your best.
If they win all the games, Seattle can avoid. Zia Shehzad will take it on the bounce. He's a tall man, Zia Shehzad, so it covers a lot of ground very quickly. And if he came back.
Vatsal Vagela back in at the San Pedro end of the ground. Single and a dot to start over number 13. It is the 7th consecutive over of spin bowled by Captain Sami Aslam's side. No pace since the end of the power play.
Doesn't get it from the best part of the bat. One of the best for Golden State Grizzlies. I'll tell you what, not all the time does he reap the benefits of the number of dot balls that he bowled.
Some variable bounce off of this wicket. A little bit.
Yeah, the author of Crack on the Track.
Suhas Vedam, cricket commentator, passionate fan, literary agent.
Vatsal Vaghela, I was getting to a point that Vatsal Vaghela is somebody who does not reap the benefits of his fantastic bowling all the time. Because he keeps it so tight from one end, Hollywood Master Blasters would be forced to go for the big shots from the other end. So the bowler bowling from the other end would benefit in terms of the wickets.
The pair of dots to finish that one off. 3.
Took that last corner pretty quick.
Sir, I need one hand on the roof, one hand on the pump.
Timeout for Sunoco Go rewards.
Keep pumping.
With new Sunoco Go rewards, when you fuel, you save, because rewards come first.
The memo about Barrett Avenue being the home of spin entirely ignored here. We've seen all the pace come from that side in this innings. Suhas?
Oh, absolutely. But with the variable bounce being a common thread between the ends, perhaps Ruchir Joshi would be tempted to bowl from that. Otherwise, I don't see a reason why he is not a spinner yet. Ruchir Joshi is not a. It's not a bad time to come in and bowl when the opponents require 17 runs per over. And they need to do so regularly for the next 7 overs. Hollywood Master Blasters, where is the impetus coming from? Karan Viradia is providing a flash in the pan, but he needs to continue to go for the big shots. Turn into a damn squib if it already hasn't. Joe.
Yeah, since the 6 that he hit over the sight screen, a 2 and a single, and otherwise 4 dot balls against him. Viradia has not built off that. Looking to here as he loops this over the top of Malik Junaid. A bit of invention, and that will run away to the boundary.
Cheekiness at its best. But as they say, you've got to innovate at times.
Junaid not quite enough Sunoco in the tank to chase that one down at the rope.
Karan Viradia is providing the glimmer of hope, but he's got to continue to bat the way that he's usually doing, exploring new areas of scoring runs. Now, every time he's tried a conventional shot, this is what has happened. So he's quite content playing behind the V.
6 so far off the first 3 balls, and an opportunity here if Timbawala wants to try to rear back. A decent enough platform to try and turn this into a bit bigger of an over. 1 boundary already in the can.
Half an over should have an appointment with the boundary rope. This is perfect. We've talked about the corridor of uncertainty and the reason it's called so. The batter was a little confused. If he wants to open the face of the batter, let it go.
Ruchir Joshi right now giving up less than a run a ball. 14 off the 15 he's bowled. Pretty impressive for a guy whose economy has occasionally gotten a bit beyond his control. 9 points.
He's kept it down to a single because he's got the protection he required in the deep. Sohan Bhatt with a good throw as well. Will keep it down to a single. And what's required for Hollywood Master Blasters is at least a boundary. This game's gotten to a stage where you get 1 boundary in an over, it's not good enough. You get 2, it's not good enough.
The asking rate at this point now up over 3 runs per ball from here to the finish.
That is cut well. Work to do for the man in the deep. He'll delay the dive. Doesn't need to get there at all. It's 4. This is some impetus. This is some execution. Had the width, went through with it.
But of course, the frustration for Hollywood Master Blasters, one of their more productive overs of the entire innings, 11 runs from it, and it's still about a 6 short of what's required at this point. 72 for 3, 6 overs to the finish. 6 overs to go. Varadia and Timbawala continue to partner. Vatsal Vagela again from the San Pedro end.
This game is going to have life if the batters decide there is no one particular bowler to target, but every bowler is the same.
And the Master Blasters have done a decent enough job maintaining wickets, but the way they've attacked so far, you'd have to ask what for. They're there for a reason. You've got to take at least a few risks. You've got 7 of them in hand at the moment. Mid-wicket. Timbawala wanted a second. He turns tail and heads back to the striker's end.
Because Viradia Timbawala, who's making a living by running to the danger end, decides to go for it anyway. I will take a single, and a single is not something which is going to suffice. And Karan Viradia has got to look for the boundary options. Either he plays his favourite shots, that is through cow corner, and makes the fielder in the deep redundant. Otherwise, tries to manufacture a shot inside out and try and get a boundary. Straight down the ground is another option, unless he wants to be the cheeky person that he is. Fielder in the deep would be a spectator. This has travelled the distance. The minimum risk that they could take at this time would be deep backward square. Viradia convincingly smashes it away.
Breaking out the sweep shot and connecting beautifully with it. Although apparently the call from the umpire is that it did not reach the boundary on the fly. He has now overruled that and called it. The checking crick clubs as well to verify, indeed, given as a 4.
That's much better from Vatsal Vagela. Again, it's that length where the batter has slightly confused whether to commit to the front foot or rock back onto the back foot. And Vatsal Vagela is clearly having this plan of pitching it in. Just pitch it in the surface, let it do its thing. Just like that, the natural variations are coming into play for the youngster. This one not bouncing as much as they expected it to. A dot ball to finish.
The end of Vagela's spell, 26 runs off of his 24 deliveries in a game where the Master Blasters needed to go at about a run and a half per ball from end of the over. 79, correction, 80 for 3.
पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले।
हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
Joshi from the Barrett Avenue end, right by the bat, a dot ball to start.
The Master Blasters require 101 in the last 5. That's as much as they gave away last evening.
I was going to say, if they had Sanjay Krishnamurthy, who admittedly his jersey doesn't look all that much different from theirs, if they had that in the I was going to say, yeah, we would need, they would need the Nawaz Khan over from Arroyo Park 5 straight times in order to get home at this point. It's
But Ruchi Joshi, of course, has grown a lot after that game. Just holding the shape. That's for the photographers. Straight down the ground like an arrow.
Dafa News, take note. Another boundary for Karan Varadia. His 4th in the last 3 overs.
There's a reason there is a sticker on that bat showing him the straight out of the coaching manual. For a man who's adding supplementary sheets to the coaching manual by playing shots behind the wicketkeeper, this one was for the coaches.
Now that one, good straight bat, a lot of power, a lot of confidence. Now taking the supplementary pages and again victimizing Malik Junaid. Will he get there to stop?
He's so well hit it. He's hit it so well, not just in the gap on the cricket ground, but he's also hit it in the gap in the boundary rope.
What were we saying yesterday about seeing gaps everywhere?
Oh, yes. Karan Viradia he's also announced to his side that he needs a promotion in the batting order, especially if they're chasing something bigger. Wants that single. Gets hit, but it wasn't very deliberate, so the umpire will let it go.
No deviation of his line or anything like that. And as a man wearing a New Zealand jersey right now, I just say, oh, thank goodness it didn't hit a bat and go to the boundary or some silly thing like that that could decide a world title.
There, Joe. There.
It still hurts.
This should be taken. It's Zia Shehzad, and he converts half chances. I think he's just thrown it down in celebration. Urge to celebrate Karan Viradia's wicket.
Fourth wicket down here, and again reaching the end stages of this one. A bit academic, the big question being how much before they head.
Absolutely, Joe, and with Ehsan Adil in the mix as well, when that happens, he's got to be recuperated. This team will look like a different team altogether. Well in form, new heroes emerging, the captain firing and leading from the front.
All they need now is for SoCal Lashings to do them a solid and take out the East Bay Blazers this afternoon. And we might have a very interesting end to the playoff race. We already, of course, have Seattle over on the other ability. He has bowled 3 of his 4, so 1 left in the can for the San Diego. From Ruchir Joshi is aimed at Rahul Timbawala, worked away for a single. The new man at the non-strikers end, or what's about to become the non-strikers end, is Timil Patel. That brings the over to an end, a little bit on the pricey side, as they do pick up 9 runs from it. But the wicket of Viradiya taken 89 for 4.
1, 2, 3.
Good.
Zia Shehzad from the San Pedro end, continuing with spin from this side. This one tapped just to the side of the wicket, looking for the direct hit is Karan Chandel. Good work on the diving back up behind to prevent any overthrows.
Now, 2 men who made the switch from San Diego Surf Riders are concerned about another game over here for the Hollywood Master Blasters. All well, their former teams playing alongside. Timil Patel. There's no mark with the bat.
Now, last week,
the impetus towards the end, but still wasn't enough for Hollywood Master Blasters.
That's a lot of 4s.
You're not even considering the 6s. Why?
Well, mainly because Karan Viradiya just left.
Well, Golden State Grizzlies are anyways breathing easy as they have a lot of work to do as well. The sweeper ensures that he puts in the dive. That's the best shot that Timil Patel's played so far. And that too will grant him only 2 runs and not a boundary.
Excellent work there from the man at sweeper cover. A lot of ground to welcome.
Oh, very well fielded. Even though there was a second line of defense, didn't let it go through.
And putting in the dive and snaring it there, stopping even the single in that moment. No danger of much of anything else, but continuing to keep the run faucet shut off.
Gloriously driven down the ground. We'll pick up 2 more. No, in fact, we'll settle with a single. It's only 1 run. A gun throw from the deep.
Excellent work out there. Shiva Mishra getting to that and making sure that they just pick up the single. It'll keep Timil Patel on strike as we head to the 18th over. Just 4 from that one, plus the wide, 94 for 4.
My son, he's so soft-spoken. Oh, yeah. Everyone says he's so good-looking, and he never forgets to call.
Hi, Mom. Born for your true self. The 2022 Tundra. Toyota. Let's go places.
Sohan Bat on from the Barrett Avenue end. Just a bit of acceleration, but also a wicket taken. Adnesh Tondale has been very solid. That one stroked right to the between the Sunoco sign and the Dafanu sign out there at long on. So plenty of fuel and perhaps a candidate for a shot of the match.
Yeah, the Venn diagrams intersecting as Joe shows extreme interest in the game alongside as well. The ball eventually gets to the dugout of the team playing the other game. By good fielding all throughout the game, where Golden State Grizzlies can afford this misfield and afford this single being taken. And you very rightly mentioned about the Dafanu's shot of the day. That was very stylish indeed. That Karan Viradia is one of those shots. You pick which one can make to the Dafanu's shot of the day, depending on the one you pick, because everyone's got a reason.
Now Viradia with an excellent cameo here. Contributing 34 off his 25, first score over 20 this weekend for the Hollywood Master Blasters. Patel leaning back and poking that one to point. They'll look at Timbawala not ready to take it.
Timber Patel was hallucinating. Rafi Timbawala, who's done a lot of running today and run towards the danger end most of the time, he said no chance of getting to the other end. Timbawala smashes it straight, long off, doesn't get there. Oh, that's a good shot and very necessary for Hollywood Master Blasters. 100 comes up.
Too little, too late. 2 overs left, 105 for 4.
Oh, okay. I thought 95 was... Oh, mine's not updating.
What's up, Doug? What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. Fuel your best.
Zia Shahzad, they're very economical. And we've been talking about him being a complete cricketer, 100% on the field, a moment of brilliance at once per game, sometimes with a catch, sometimes with a direct hit. Now he's been awarded a slip. He's deliberately padded. Now the question, leg by signal, so that if it's signal leg bys, then the umpire Mark truly believes that the batter did try to offer that. Remember, in T20 cricket, deliberate padding not allowed.
There's maybe the very hint of beginning to take a swing and then even being off balance at that moment. But the onside for a single as they continue to exchange the strike. With this game largely out of hanging in the balance, we continue to take a look over at Seattle. 34 needed off of 3.5 overs there. Run rate all the way down to 9.7 required. Comes Shahzad's delivery. This one guided wide of the strip. Another single.
Perhaps the intention to have gone for the run would have ruled out the fact that it could have been deliberate padding.
Certainly, they very much took their time deciding whether to take off for it. At that point,
only one of them did.
Well.
Oh, good ball. The perfect leg spinner's delivery. And he's bowling to a batter who does not have a big reach.
No, not at all. And it looked like it, along with everything, got some good turn off the surface as well as a bit of extra bounce. And there's not a lot of reach. There's also not a lot of height for Timil Patel as well. So turning into almost a chest-high bouncer.
That looks close. That is close enough. Up that matters has gone up. And Timil Patel would be walking back to the pavilion.
No doubt at all. We could hear the thud of the pad from here. The only question might have been whether it was going down leg at that point. Good enough for the umpire, and that will be the end of the day for Timil Patel. Also the final ball of that 19 over 109 for 5. Coming out.
Yeah, so
28 off 19. Basan Regmi in at the crease here as we start the final over of action, a match that has been decided for quite some time. Golden State Grizzlies do maintain as much of that advantage as possible. Timbawala swinging away on the first delivery from Deshpande. Along with a great economy, just 12 runs conceded by Zia Shahzad, and it's been...
Zia Mohammad Shahzad gives you an economy of 3, just gold dust. Big swing and a miss. That's what you get with Basan Regmi. You get 6 or nothing.
Quite connected on one of those this season. 60.
In a manner of saying, Joe, in a manner of saying where he will go for the big shot. Oh, there you go. Practices at the non-striker's end to go for the big shot on the offside. Our game can be sometimes cruel, isn't it? You identify yourself as a bowler, that becomes your primary suit, but...
Be that way in baseball, at least in one of the 2 leagues, but yeah, now we got the universal DH, so... Takes away a little bit of fun. That one may well be a no ball due to height. We'll wait for the indication from the square leg umpire. Either way, it has run all the way to the boundary for a 4, and that's a bit of a dent put into the cushion and the net run rate benefit. No indication from square leg that that winds up being a problem for height, so just a 4. Two balls remaining. Ravi Timbawala remains on strike after the boundary.
Catch it is a call, almost took it. But he can't admire the fact that it was a fantastic attempt. He's got to retrieve the ball too.
Nobody else in the vicinity to try and track that down. Could have ended up being 4 just on the run if he hadn't gotten back to his feet. Instead of 2, 1 ball remaining in our first match, our morning match here of day 2 of the big Western Division party here in Morgan Hill. Anish Deshpande to finish us off. That'll be run down to backward point for a single, and that brings things to a close, a 62-run victory for the Golden State Grizzlies that will do some good to their net run rate, but they continue to have to hope for some help from the East Bay Blazers and possibly for San Diego to survive an onslaught taking place on the other field. Seattle looking to get themselves back into that one with 3 overs left to work with.
Yeah, it's never a good sign when you're playing off time, you're playing out time, much like to remember for many, many reasons. First the century and then the boys delivering with the ball in hand. A completely Grizzlies, very important victory with a healthy margin.
And we'll review here a few of the, basically a bit of a bowling by committee sort of approach here. A great economy, as we talked about, from Deshpande and from Zia Shahzad. 1 wicket each, Joshi Pandey, Bhatt, and Zia. Vatsal Vagela, decent work there, but actually among the higher economies on the team as it works out. And if that's the case on the day, and it's barely a run a ball, that's a good day. That'll be all for us here for the morning game at Morgan Hill. We've got 1 game left this weekend for this weekend, and that will be getting started at 2:30 p.m. between the East Bay Blazers and the SoCal Lashings. We do hope you will join us for that one. For Andrew Grindle on the camera work, for Bud Jadabans at the controls, and for Suhas Vedam, my partner in crime up here, I'm Joe Hickey, and we hope to see you back at 2:30.
Side edge, would it be good enough on the day? First ball with Rohit on strike. Run to the board right away. There is a slip in place though, so would expect Joshi to be bowling outside off. Edged and almost taken. That did carry. The slip was very tactically placed slightly wide. In the lack of it. Oh, that is classy, that is stylish. We'll run away to the fence, that's more Mrunal-like. whipped away for 4.
It's generally been a different batter at that point.
That's gone straight up in the air. Zia Shehzad settling under it will take the catch. Mrinal Patel's innings becomes a flash in the pan, but he had to go for it. The pressure was mounting.
We're using him in the T20 setup right now, so they are not without his services on a weekend when they absolutely have to win. That one cut through the gap on the offside. That's going to run away for a boundary. Looking like the mirror image of the other captain earlier today with that cut shot. That one on the aerial route is going to get over the men in the circle. Shiva Mishra way too far off over at long off to have much chance at that. And that's going to be another 4 on the bounce. Identify even when he's well far away from us. That one worked in his direction again, looking to take the quick single. The throw is a direct hit.
It is gone.
But just not finding the middle of the bat.
Catch it is the call. This should be catch practice indeed. Vatsal Waghela will make no mistake. A simple pouch and Cody Chetty departs. Flying away beyond the side screen. Kadran Virat.
A bit of invention, and that will run away to the boundary.
Oh, that is cut well. Work to do for the man in the deep. He'll delay the dive. Doesn't need to get there at all. It's 4. Unless he wants to be the cheeky person that he is. Fielder in the deep would be a spectator. This has traveled the distance. The minimum risk that they could take at this. That game. Just holding the shape. That's for the photographers. Straight down the ground like an arrow.
DAFA News, take note.
This should be taken. It's Zia Shehzad, and he converts half chances. I think he's just thrown it down in celebration, not that he hasn't grasped the ball. But he's got to be very careful. He's got
on Seattle, where there's been a bit of acceleration, but also a wicket taken. Adnash Tondale has been very solid. That one stroked right to the between the Sunoco.
He said no chance of getting to the other end. Doesn't get there.
Tied bouncer.
That looks close. That is close enough. Up goes the finger. Timil Patel's looking at the umpire in dismay.
So takes away a little bit of fun. That one may well be a no ball due to height. We'll wait for the indication from the square leg umpire. Either way, it has run all the way to the boundary for a 4, and that's a bit of a dent put into.
You're watching the Toyota Minor League Cricket Championship, presented by Sunoco.